Many of us think of the women's suffrage movement when we hear the name Susan B. Anthony. If I asked you what Anthony dedicated her life to, what would you say? You would probably say that she devoted her life to women's rights. But did you know that Anthony was also an abolitionist, an educational reformer, a labor activist, a temperance worker, and lastly, what we all know her for, a suffragist? It was not until she was in New York when Anthony met other women abolitionists that she realized the hypocrisy of sex and dedicated herself to the women's suffrage movement in 1852. Susan was an active member for the justice until her death in 1906. As a young girl, Susan fought against the norm with a strong head on her shoulders. Susan had a father who belonged to the Quaker Church. Susan's mother was a Baptist and not a Quaker. For this marriage, Susan's father would be disowned by the church and only be allowed back if he said sorry for his crime of marrying outside of the Quaker Church. Susan's father, however, did not denounce his love for her. The sorry was accepted and he was taken back into the church. The family would travel about 13 miles to the Quaker meeting house. Mr. Anthony was the only member allowed in business discussions because his family were non-members of the church. This was Susan's first experience with exclusion. Susan became used to it and would normally comply. However, one winter, Susan, at the age of 7, sat still and attempted to defy her exclusion and be included in the church meeting when she was asked to leave. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, one of Susan's greatest friends and fellow suffragists, wrote about Susan's life as a young Quaker girl in her book, Reminiscence of Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and describes Susan's experience. "Thee is not a member. Thee must go out." "No, my mother told me not to go out in the cold," was the child's firm response. "Yes, but thee must go out. Thee is not a member." "But my father is a member." "Thee is not a member." And Susan felt as if the spirit was moving her, and soon found herself in outer coldness, fingers and toes becoming numb, and a bright fire in a cottage over the way beckoning warmly to her. The exile from the chapel resolved to seek secular shelter. It is important to know and understand that Susan B. Anthony did not start the women's suffrage movement. At first, she wasn't even sure if it was something she could take seriously. Elizabeth Cady Stanton writes, "The Women's Declaration of Independence issued from those conventions startled and amused her, and she laughed heartily at the novelty and presumption of the demand. But on returning home to spend her vacation, she was surprised to find that her sober Quaker parents and sister, having attended the Rochester meetings, regarded them as very profitable and interesting, and the demands made as proper and reasonable. She was already interested in the anti-slavery and temperance reforms, was an active member of an organization called the Daughters of Temperance, and had spoken a few times in their public meetings. But the new gospel of women's rights found a ready response in her mind, and from that time her best efforts have been given to the enfranchisement of women." On November 5, 1872, Susan B. Anthony voted in the presidential election. Because women were not allowed to vote at the time, 2 weeks later, Anthony was arrested. She did not go about voting alone, however. 14 other women voted illegally alongside her. Anthony used her arrest to make the suffrage movement more grand and went on a speaking tour to 50 towns. The title of her speech, "Is it a crime for a citizen of the United States to vote?" In her speech, she quotes the founding fathers of our country and their words in the Declaration of Independence many times. Anthony's speech states, "You cannot find a word in any of the grand documents left us by the fathers that assumes for government the power to create or to confer rights. The Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, the constitutions of the several states, and the organic laws of the territories, all alike propose to protect the people in the exercise of their God-given rights. Not one of them pretends to bestow rights. All men are created equal, and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Here is no shadow of government authority over rights, nor exclusion of any from their full and equal enjoyment. Here is pronounced the right of all men, and consequently, as the Quaker preacher said, of all women, to a voice in the government. And here, in this very first paragraph of the Declaration, is the assertion of the natural rights of all to the ballot. For how can the consent of the governed be given if the right to vote be denied? Again, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundations on such principles and organizing its powers in such forms as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. For my last and most favorite quote from her speech, we need to remember that during this time not only were women not allowed to vote, but our post-Civil War country also still allowed for slavery. It was we, the people, not we, the white male citizens, nor yet we, the male citizens, but we, the whole people, who formed this union. And we formed it not to get the blessings or liberty, but to secure them, not to the half of ourselves and the half of our prosperity, but to the whole people, women as well as men. And it is downright mockery to talk to women of their enjoyment of the blessings of liberty, while they are denied the use of the only means of securing them provided by this democratic Republican government, the ballot. Although 14 of the women broke the voting law with Anthony, Anthony was the only woman put to trial, where she was later found guilty by a judge. Susan B. Anthony believes the Constitution, and the 14th Amendment in particular, gave everyone the right to vote. However, in 1875, the Supreme Court ruled that the 14th Amendment, or rather any part of the Constitution, did not guarantee a woman's right to vote at all. It was then that Susan B. Anthony and the National Women's Suffrage Association decided on a new strategy to seek a new constitutional amendment that would bar states from qualifying voters based on sex and also give voting rights to all United States citizens. The 19th Amendment, allowing women to vote, was not ratified until 1920, 100 years after she was born and 14 years after her death. At the age of 80, and now retired from her advocacy for abolition and women's rights, Anthony handwrites and summarizes her lifetime. The one purpose of my life has been the establishment of perfect equality of rights for women, civil and political, industrial and educational. We have attained equal chances in nearly all of the colleges and universities, equal chances to work, but not equal pay. We have school suffrages in half the states, taxpayer suffrage in half a dozen states, municipal suffrage in one state, Kansas, and full suffrage in 4, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, and Idaho. And hope and work and faith till the end. In good cheer, Susan B. Anthony, November 7th,